So first and foremost, I told you yesterday the definition of environment. Okay, this is the definition of environment. That environment is defined as the total planetary inheritance and totality of resources. Then I told you that environment has been divided into two components. First is the biotic elements, and second is your abiotic elements. Okay, first component is what, beta? First component is the biotic elements, and second component is abiotic. So biotic components are what? Anyone? What are biotic components? Yesterday I told you.
Living creatures are biotic components.
Yes.
And non-living
Yes. So all living are the biotic component and all non-living are the abiotic component. Then we started with the functions of environment. What were the functions of environment? First and foremost, the first function as basic environment is that it is supplying us resources. Now, what are the resources? It is supplying us the resources in form of renewable resources, which can be used for more than once, and it is also supplying us non-renewable resources. Am I audible, beta? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first function, only you cannot note down. Now the notes have already been shared in the group. Only just understand the concept, because this chapter is not a lengthy chapter. It will wind up in today's session only. So it is supplying us what? It is supplying us the resources, renewable resources as well as the non-renewable resources. So renewable resources are those resources which do not get depleted or exhausted. Take for the example sunlight, take for the example your wind energy. So these are your renewable resources which can be available. Example, resources are trees in the forest and the fishes in the ocean, which can be renewed and where they don't have the possibility of getting exhausted very soon. But the non-renewable resources, as I told you, they will get exhaust and the extraction will be more difficult. Take for the example, fossil fuels, even now the world is facing because of petroleum products. You have heard about petroleum products? The petrol is getting more depleted. So petroleum products are also the part of what? Petroleum products are also the part of this. Is this clear, beta? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
So here non-renewable and renewable resources we are taking, and I am noting here petroleum products are also the part of this non-renewable resources. Okay, now moving further, just a second. Now moving further, let us see. Next was the function is it is assimilating the waste. The environment is assimilating the waste in the form of, I told you there are many waste associated. There is liquid waste, solid waste, gaseous waste, and that is assimilation waste is done. And then third, the environment is sustaining life by providing what? Genetic and biodiversity. You can see any particular forest or anything, variety of biodiversity is available. And it is also providing what? Aesthetic services like scenery view. I told you yesterday about the regional park. So it is providing what? Aesthetic services. Now, yesterday I also told you about the absorptive capacity, the definition. The definition of absorptive capacity you can note down, that has been given. Absorptive capacity means the ability of the environment to absorb the degradation. Suppose whatever waste you are generating, how much waste can be absorbed by the environment? That is the absorptive capacity. Okay, that's why it is saying the absorptive capacity means the ability of the environment to absorb the degradation. Now, let us come on to some of the global environmental issue. Yesterday, Pareen also said that as global warming. Pareen, are you there in the meeting?
Yes, sir.
So yesterday we have discussed that there are majorly two issues, and you have also said that it is first issue is the global warming and second issue is the ozone depletion. That are the major two concerns in today's scenario. Global warming, and we can also add now the COVID situation. That is also becoming a great issue nowadays. So global environment issues are has increased, and they need what? They need financial commitments from the government. As far as COVID is concerned, government has started the vaccination campaigns and have started various particularly centers for the COVID. So they are focusing on that, but they are not focusing on the global warming and ozone depletion. Okay. Now, what is the reason for such? The reason is population explosion. As you can see, India is the second largest country as considered with the population. So that's why we are facing the resources depletion. We are facing this environmental degradation. Okay. Vilti, can you read out this paragraph for me? That but from this to the resources? Yes.
But with the population explosion and with the advent of industrial revolution to meet the growing needs of the expanding population, things changed. The result was that the demand for resources for both production and consumption went beyond the rate of regeneration of the resources.
Means if I say the regeneration of resources means the capacity of environment again to regenerate the resources. Take for the example, you are using fossil fuels, you are using petroleum products. There is some capacity for regeneration, and you are not giving that capacity for regeneration. Okay. Now coming on to one more aspect, that is Damodar Valley aspect. Now, Damodar Valley is one of the India's most industrialized region, and it has become the most polluted region also because heavy industries are. Mummy. So, Damodar Valley is one of the most industrialized region, and it is also a most polluted. Parin, can you read out this paragraph of Damodar Valley, beta?
Damodar Valley is one of the India's most industrialized region. Pollutants from the heavy industries among the banks of the Damodar River are converting it into an ecological disaster.
So it is, see, the Damodar Valley is also most beautiful valley it was being considered, but as the industrialization has been started near the Damodar Valley, mostly industrial areas are there. So that has turned the Damodar River into an ecological disaster. Similarly, have you heard about Yamuna River in Agra? I have been, so in that the industrial area of Agra has been giving the pollutants to the mama. Pollutants are there which is affecting the Yamuna River, and that's why that has been also converted into an ecological disaster. So here mostly it is being told that the Damodar Valley is also being turned into ecological disaster because of what? Because of the industrialization near the Damodar. Okay. Now coming on to the state of India's environment. Basically, in India, what is the state of Indian environment? Okay, I will ask the students to kindly read out. The screen is visible to everyone.
Yes.
Now, Chavi, can you read out the state of India's environment first particular point, beta?
Yes, sir. The black soil of the Deccan Plateau is particularly suitable for cultivation of cotton, leading to concentration of textile industries in this region.
So see, the reason why a particular region is being famous, the Deccan Plateau, if you see the overall in your geography you have heard about when you have done in your previous classes, the Deccan Plateau was being famous for the cultivation of cotton. And if cultivation of cotton is very much in that particular region, so industrialization related to cotton will be there in that region at most. Secondly, the Indo-Gigantic plan, if you have heard about, it is a plan you can see in the image. It is starting from the particular spread from urban sea, and it is going towards the Bay of Bengal. That overall is the most fertile because here most of the rivers are being there. So that Indo-Gangetic plan is also a very good resource for the India, and mostly it is the fertile land. Here your food crops are being grown and it is intensely fertile. This is the condition of environment which is being told. Third, the Indian forests are very unevenly distributed, but they are providing a particularly home for your majority of population of wildlife. Okay, so this is the third point. Coming to fourth, India is also having the deposits of iron ore and coal and natural gas. Nearly 20% of total world iron ore reserves are located in India. You can see this major coal fields has been given. So here they want to display that overall India is having good particular state. These are the 4 points you can just note down when these notes have already been shared. Now, moving on to the next aspect, this was related. Now we are moving on to the most important aspect of that, the most pressing environmental concern. Okay, everybody can see the screen better. The most pressing environmental concerns or the challenges which India is facing in the environment. Any challenges in front of you which you can see that India is facing? Anyone can tell me the challenges which India is facing better in today's scenario? Yes, population explosion. That is also a reason of your environmental degradation. But what kind of environmental degradation we are facing will be? Suppose industrialization has led to what? There is a recent case of Delhi.
Sir, there was lots of pollution in Delhi during the times of Diwali.
So we are facing, why? Because population explosion is more. And you have also heard about the factories which have been set up near the particularly Agra place. That gas has affected the monument. If you have heard about that incident, that the factories which were being set up nearby Taj Mahal, they have affected the monument impact. Is it clear? Have you heard about this case? Anybody?
Yes, sir. Acid rain.
Why this was there? Because the acid were being formed in gaseous form, and the gases that particularly harmful gases were released by the industrial areas nearby, and that's why it was affecting the environmental concern. Now, to make it more precise, here it is given that the threat of India has been posed by two taxonomies. First, poverty-induced environmental degradation. Now, how poverty has induced that degradation, I will explain. Second, threat of pollution from industrial sector. See, basically in India, we are facing two concerns. Mainly, poverty-induced environmental degradation is there. How poverty-induced environmental degradation is there? Simple example. You go to visit a particular poor house, whether you will find an LPG gas or whether they will use another particular things for fire. Tell me. What they are using for normal, suppose for cooking purposes. Are they using LPG gas or are they using some another particular product?
Sir,
Others. So I'm just giving you a picture. Maybe I had taken on that picture. Just let me see if that picture is available with me. Okay. So here it's not available. It will be available in that. We will see in the other. So that is leading to what? Suppose I am taking wood and I am burning wood again. So it is not creating a cleaner gas. It is creating a gas in which carbon dioxide and other particular pollutants are there. So first is the threat of poverty-induced environmental degradation. Second, threat of pollution from the industrial sector. I told you the example was the recent your acid rain case in Agra. Now here, population growth. See, there is a flow chart. We can see that population growth requires more land clearance, urbanization is required, and technological changes. This has led to environmental degradation, which has led to poor health, less productivity, and ultimately the reason is poverty. You can see a picture has been depicted. Now, what these poor persons are doing? Anyone can tell me what these poor persons are depicting in that picture? Tell me better. Stuti, can you tell what these poor persons are doing in this picture, Vita?
They are burning the garbage.
Yes, they are burning the garbages. Okay, Charu, any opinion from your side? What the picture is depicting? Charu, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
What the picture is depicting, Vita?
So that they are living in slums.
Slums, yes. And what the particularly as VC and Parin said, is the garbage being burned by them? Is it creating a pollution in that area then?
Yes, this is called incineration.
Poverty-induced environmental degradation, because they are not having the knowledge that this particular garbage needs to be recycled. This particular garbage needs to be given to the government authorities. They are burning that, and this is creating what? This is creating again an environmental degradation.
Second, this happens in every other locality.
So that's the only point of it. The concern is that the poverty person, the poor persons are not aware that while burning garbages, what happens that when I'm coming throughout the bus in India, in Indore only, I'm seeing in the local places for heat, they are burning pages, they are burning polythenes, they are burning wood. Even in my locality, when I am going for a round as a night walk, because there is so much cold outside, so I'm seeing the particular persons are using wood, so they are burning. So what can we do? I only suggest them that if you are that much feeling cold, you can have a space inside. Why to you're coming outside and burning wood? What will happen? This is creating ash as well as a gaseous product which is harmful. Okay, so this is the lack of particularly I can say the education which has to be not being given to them, that this can create nauseous gas. Okay, now coming on to the next concern, that is land degradation. Now what is land degradation? Anybody has heard about this word, land degradation? Anybody who has heard about what is land degradation? Chalo. So if you're not knowing, just an importance, land degradation means particularly, say for the example, there is a loss of what? Loss of vegetation during deforestation. There is unstable fuel wood and fodder extraction. Now, this is a major cause of concern in the rural areas. What happens? They do not use LPG, they do not use other forms, they are extracting wood as fodder. Fodder is what, beta? Fodder is the particular things which they use to feed their cattle. So in that they are extracting mostly from the forest, and ultimately what will happen? This is depleting the land degradation. Then shifting cultivation, many a times as we are shifting towards the cultivation, we are using the chemical fertilizers, chemical pesticides. So it is impacting the land. It is impacting the soil quality. Next is encroachment into forest land. Now, what is encroachment into forest land? Using forest for your own purposes, suppose for killing animals, for that. If you have heard about the recent cases of Salman Khan, when he was doing a shooting of very much popular film, he was under encroachment. He used a particular suppose. So in that case, what is happening? It was an encroachment that you have gone for a movie, not for an entertainment. You don't have the right to disturb the biodiversity of that particular place. That is encroachment. When a particular person is entering into the forest land and killing animals for its own luxury purpose, for its own pleasure purpose, he is killing the particular animals. Shooting is a habit. And if shooting is a habit, you can go to other places where you can kill the non-living things. But you don't have the right to kill the living things which are there in the forest. That is encroachment. Yes, better.
And what is the difference between encroachment and trespass?
Encroachment and trespass is, suppose, take for the example, encroachment is mostly done in forest because the forest is being owned by the forest department and particularly I can say the government. But trespassing, suppose, take for the example, I have a land and that particular persons or the particular person nearby are using those land to park the cars because that is a vacant land. Yesterday only, suppose I had a particular disturbance. Suppose in my neighborhood, a particular person has purchased a plot and that plot is vacant. So what the particular persons are doing nearby, they are parking their cars, they are putting the garbage on that particular plot. So that is known as trespassing because the particular person is the owner and he has not allowed to utilize that land for this particular purpose. Are you getting? And encroachment means when you are entering into the forest land and destroying the forest biodiversity. Clear, Peter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Trespassing is mostly done in the urban areas. As you can see, mostly what happens whenever a particular place is allotted to one person, and that particular person is utilizing this land without the consent of the another person. So that is trespassing. Okay. And encroachment means when you are entering into the forest land and you are disturbing the biodiversity. Next.
सर ट्रेसपास में तो सिर्फ इतना ही होता है ना कि आप किसी की और की प्रॉपर्टी में आप घुस जाते हो, और जबकि एनक्रोचमेंट में आप किसी और की प्रॉपर्टी पे कुछ बिल्ड कर देते हो, तो वो होता है.
Encroachment also means when you are disturbing. See, mostly encroachment happens in forest land. Because what happens is encroachment. Whenever, if you see the dictionary meaning of encroachment, have you seen the dictionary meaning of encroachment? Anyone? So I am just showing you the dictionary meaning of encroachment. Encroachment means any entry into area not previously occupied, entry to the another's property without the right of permission. Suppose I told you the recent case of Salman Khan when he was shooting a movie near Rajasthan and he entered that particular forest area without any permission and started the shooting of animals. So this is encroachment. That is not trespassing. Trespassing is mostly a particular, see, if I go for trespassing meaning, if the dictionary meaning of trespassing is there, trespassing is totally different. In that case, trespassing, suppose the plot is vacant and that plot has been utilized by the neighbor for parking the cars, for the dumping the garbage, that will be considered as trespassing.
Sir, you are saying that encroachment is only related to forest land.
Yes, encroachment is not normally done in the urban areas. Urban areas, it's only the trespassing. Encroachment normally comes under the forest area. Any other issue on that? Let me just go through the it is the trespassing actual meaning. Trespassing actual meaning, if you see the particularly, I can say I'm having that dictionary meaning is to commit unlawful injury to a person's property with implied force or violence, especially to enter into the another's land wrongfully or to infringe its privacy. Even suppose, take for the example, you are entering anyone's house without his permission. That is also trespassing. Okay, suppose that person has not allowed you to enter his house and you are entering his house and doing the activities, that is trespassing. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
And encroachment mostly is done in the forest. If you go with the dictionary meaning of encroachment also, encroachment is mostly done in the forest area. Okay, if I go for encroachment meaning in Hindi, it is atikraman. Okay, have you heard about atikraman? Anyone? Have you heard about atikraman, beta?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes,
so encroachment is that. Encroachment is that. If we heard, that is to enter into the, again, it is also giving the entry into the particular person without having the permission of the person. Mostly it is done in that case. Is it clear, beta?
Yes.
So shall I move further? Then the land degradation is also because of non-adoption of adequate soil conservation measures. We are not adopting a proper soil measures. Soil erosion is there. Improper crop rotation. Mostly what happens, proper crop rotation is not maintained. This will affect the soil quality. Okay, and that will lead to land degradation. Next is indiscriminate use of agrochemicals. As I told you, we are utilizing fertilizers and pesticides. This has affected the land quality. Next is improper planning and management of irrigation system. You are not managing your irrigation systems in a very good manner. And if you are not managing your irrigation system in a good manner, ultimately what will happen? This will lead to land degradation. Okay. And extraction of groundwater in excess of recharge capacity. This is been done now in Indore when we are going to set up a particularly tube well. We have to get a strict permission from government. Now it's not allowed because recently my friend has purchased a property in nearby area. So when he was going for that, the authorities objected. Now it's not allowed. Means a particular person can now not go for groundwater. He can has to take a Narmada connection, but he cannot extract the groundwater because that is totally affecting the land. Next is open access resources, which is being utilized by persons many a times and it is also affecting the land. And last is poverty of agriculture dependent people. Because many times what happens, they are not having that much money for manure, for the biochemicals, for the biofertilizers. So if they don't have such components, how they can improvise the land quality? So first problem is clear, but everyone, land degradation. Is it clear, land degradation to everyone?
Yes. Yes,
Now
sir.
coming on to the biodiversity laws. What is biodiversity laws? See, India is having 70% of the human population and 20% of the livestock population. But we are having such kind of population and only how much percent of geographical area? Only 2.5% of geographical area is with us. 70% of human population also we have to sustain and 20% of livestock population we have to sustain. But we have only how much area? 2.4, that is a cause of concern. Secondly, what they want to say is, as per the calculation, the per capita forest land is 0.8 hectare against the requirement that is 0.47 hectares to meet the basic needs. That's why if the availability of forest will not be there, what will happen? Biodiversity will come in the huge loss, and they are coming in a huge loss because many of the particularly species are getting extinct or they are changing their native place from India to abroad. So this is a cause of concern that again. Now coming on to the third cause of concern, that is soil erosion. So according to the government, the quality of nutrients have been lost and it has lost from 5.8 to 8.4 million tons. It is, you can see in your image. If you see the image, the plant will be unable to grow if there is continuous soil erosion. So according to Government of India, the quality of nutrients are lost due to the erosion. Erosion is a normal process. It's not a man-made process. But if it is done in a, suppose take for the example, naturally, if the erosion is to a greater extent, what will happen? It will create a problem for the person, those who are in agriculture. Because if soil is eroded, they will not be able to grow the crops. That is a major cause of concern. Coming to fourth point, that is the last point, air pollution. If you have seen, I told you the Delhi case. The number of motor vehicles has increased. There is a fact, you can see. There were how much? There were only 3 lakh motor vehicles in 1951 in the era. But now in 2003, there are 67 crores of vehicles. Only personal beta. अभी तो मैंने public transport को तो include ही नहीं करा. So if only person are considered, that is two-wheeler and the cars, it has grown from 3 lakh to 67 crores. What will happen? Ultimately, the vehicle population in urban cities has degraded the air pollution and the air quality of the that particular. The recent case which I have heard was of Delhi. This images of Delhi only, beta. If you have seen these images of Delhi, how much particularly air pollution you can see in the image. So that is again a cause of concern. So these are the 4 environmental issues in front of us. First one is, anyone? First one is Tell me, first one is
Land degradation.
okay. The second one is your biodiversity loss. Why? Because we are not having that much geographical area. Third one is soil erosion, and that is a natural process. We cannot do, we can only thing is that we can improvise by giving manure, by giving bio pesticides, by giving bio fertilizers so that soil erosion can be reduced. But if you are using chemical fertilizers, chemical pesticides, what will happen? Again, soil erosion will be there. Next is air pollution. That is a cause of concern because the vehicle has increased from 3 lakh in 1951 to 61 crores vehicles. This is the only calculation of personal beta. Public are not been added. If public is to be added, so again the pollution has increased, and Delhi is a recent case. Is this clear, beta? Is it clear?
Yes.
So
Yes.
last, moving on to that, the last topic, and this chapter will wind up. What are the steps for sustainable development? Have you heard about this word, anyone, sustainable development, before?
Yes.
So that definition that is to be given. So I will ask Stuti. Are you there, Stuti?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you read out the definition which I am highlighting? This sustainable. This is the most important definition. Can you read out this definition for me? Yes. Read out.
Yes, sir. Sustainable development is the development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs.
So we have read this definition many a times, that if we want to develop, we have to develop in a sustainable manner. Why in a sustainable manner? So that whatever needs of the future generation, they should not be compromised. They should know that what was petrol. They should see that this is a petrol. They should see that these are the particular resources which the other generation have used. I told you one question. Have you asked your parents that those resources which they have seen, is that resources which you have seen, any one kind of resource which our ancestors have seen, and we as particular present generation are not able to see that? Chalo. Take it as a homework. Ask your parents today. Today is Sunday. You can have a word with your parents and ask them any resource which you have seen and it is not present in the upcoming generation. Clear? Okay, there is one more definition. Suti, can you read out this one also?
Which one? Development fund?
Yes, development fund.
Development that will allow the future generations to have a potential rich quality of life that is at least high as that which is being enjoyed by the current generation.
So the quality life, see again, you should develop in such a way that the upcoming future generation should have at least the average quality life. Means that you should not create so much pollution that they will not be able to enjoy a quality life. So that is a cause of concern. Then what are the steps we can do for sustainable development? Charu, can you read out these 3 points for me, beta? Charu, are you there?
Yes, sir. The present generation can promote sustainable development through conservation and promotion of natural resources, preservation of regenerative capacity of the world's natural ecosystem, and avoiding the imposing of added cost or risk on future generations.
What they want to say is, first you have to conserve your natural resources, then only sustainable development will move. Second, you have to preserve the regenerative capacity of your ecological system. If you are not preserving that ecological system, you will not be able to regenerate. And last, avoid the imposition of added cost or risk on future generation. You are taking your future generation at a risk because they will not be able to see those resources. They will not be able to have a quality air, suppose. In that case, in Delhi, you can see the upcoming generation will not be able to have that much enjoyment. So that is a cause of concern, that present generation should promote sustainable development and conserve the natural resources. Now, this is the last topic of this session today. what are the strategies which you should use for sustainable development? Before going on this topic, any strategy which you are using in daily life for sustainable development, beta? Any strategy which you are using in your daily life for sustainable development? Tell me.
Solar panel.
Solar panel, very good. And apart from that, any other example?
Rainwater harvesting.
Rainwater harvesting, very good example. So now let me just end up this session by, because it's the only last topic of this chapter and this chapter will end up. The first strategy is to use non-conventional source of energy. Now, as you can see, there is an example. You can see a thermal power plant here. Thermal power plant is emitting large number of carbon dioxide and it is creating a huge pollution. Coming to hydroelectric projects, which in MP also are most common, which we are getting electricity from hydroelectric projects only. They are interfering the natural flow of water because we have to create dams. So the most important, as the solar panels example was being given, the wind power and solar energy are the cleaner and greener energy sources, and you will see the upcoming generation and the upcoming future will be of wind power and solar power energy only. How many have met Janak Palta ma'am and have heard about Janak Palta ma'am? Okay, many of you have heard. Have you met Janak Palta ma'am many a times?
Ma'am, sir, we had a conference with her.
Conference. So, if you have seen her place, have you visited her place once? If possible, I will. If possible, that particular you can see the overall place which is being maintained by ma'am. I have been visited that place once from my school. The overall place is totally meant up from the solar panels. Even the solar panels which have been installed in her house, they are giving electricity to nearby persons. Okay, so that is focus, that is the upcoming need, that the lady has seen that upcoming future is of solar energy only. It's not of others, it is of solar energy only. And she has been awarded by various awards. Many awards have been there registered by on her name. Next, coming is LPG and gobar gas. Now, what does this LPG and gobar gas? I want to show you, most of you, if you are not knowing Janak Palta ma'am, I want to show you the image of Janak Palta ma'am. And if you remember that lady, because her name is been there in many. If you remember the conference, you had a video conferencing of that. Had a video conference?
Yes, like proper session. And many a times she has visited our school also, like we have seen her physically also in our assemblies.
Very good. So if you remember that lady, I'm just showing the image of that lady in front of you. She is that. Okay, everybody can see the image. Everybody can see the image, beta?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so yes. She has been awarded by various, I can say, awards. Okay, she has been a Padma Shri recipient also, and that is the only concern because she is majorly concerned towards the nature. And if I get a chance, I will have a word. If I will get a chance, I will arrange a offline meeting at her campus, so that you being an economics student, you being a humanities student, you should understand the importance what that lady has created. And even for cooking also, she has maintained. If you have seen that video, if possible, I will show you a video and we'll post a video in the group, that how that lady has managed her overall the natural resources. Now, coming on to the LPG gas and gobar gas, that is a major issue. Now you can see on image, as I told you, that the mostly households are using wood. So is it creating air pollution or is it not creating air pollution? Is it creating air pollution, beta?
Yes, sir.
So in that, to rectify that situation, liquefied petroleum gas is being given. And if you have seen, many yojanas are also being started by under the Modi, that they are giving, particularly if you have heard about Ujjwala Yojana. Have you heard about that Ujjwala Yojana?
Yes.
So in that case, LPG is given at a very subsidized rate so that this problem of air pollution gets reduced. So that is the major cause of concern. And additionally, beta, the rural areas are installing gobar gas plants. Now, what is this gobar gas plant? This plant works on the waste which is being generated by their cattle. Okay, that is being overall process. Even if possible, I will show you that video. I will post in that, and then how that gobar gas plants work, that will be given. Next is CNG in urban areas. Mostly today, if you are traveling, if you have seen in your autos, they are totally working on CNG, even in Indore also. So in Delhi, it is a cause of concern. They have shifted from petrol to CNG. Why? Because CNG has been used as a public transport is reducing the air pollution. If we are using petrol and we are using diesel, it creates a huge air pollution. But when we are using CNG, it is a cleaner fuel and it is reducing the air pollution. That is a great advantage. So third strategy which we can use is CNG can be used in urban areas to reduce the air pollution, especially in Delhi, it has been utilized. Fourth is move towards the wind power. Normally, if you have seen in areas where speed of wind is usually high, install that particular generation of electricity with the help of windmills. So that can provide electricity and it can impact the environment. So wind turbines can be utilized for generation of electricity there. No doubt, the initial cost of setting is high, but the benefit which has been associated, it is very much appropriate. Coming to fifth, solar power through photovertical cells, that is again cause of concern, that we can have solar energy in the form of sunlight, and we can utilize that sunlight in various. We can use it, for example, for electricity generation and for other purposes. That is again moving towards the strategy of sustainable development. Sixth is the mini hydel plant. Have you heard about this mini hydel plant, beta? Anyone? The image is being shown. Have you heard about this mini hydel plant? Anyone?
Yes.
See what happens in mountain regions when the streams are coming. So in that natural flow, I can fit a turbine. You can see here that particular person has fit a turbine in the natural flow, and that turbine will help in the generation of electricity. So a large percentage of such streams are perennial. What is perennial? Which is moving throughout the year. So mini hydel plant can be set up and the energy can be generated with the help of small turbines. Coming on to the 7th point. Okay, chalo, we see 7th point is traditional knowledge and practice. Can you read out this particular point for me, beta?
Yes, sir. One example is in healthcare. India is very much privileged to have about 15,000 species of plants which have medical properties. About 8,000 of these are in regular use in various systems of treatment.
Okay, what is the advantage? First advantage is if you see the Ayurveda, it is environmental friendly. There is no chemical. Second, they are relatively free from side effects. That's why if you have in that previous chapter, I told you Ayush. You remember the system of Ayush? Ayurveda, Yajurveda, Unani.
Yes, sir.
So in that case, that is the benefit associated. And they do not involve large scale industrial chemical processing. So that is another benefit. Now, moving on to the biocomposting, and that is the again. Now, what is biocomposting? This can be done in your houses also. Biocomposting is using the waste which is being generated. Suppose this is a waste which is being generated and that waste is being dumped in the soil. The waste of vegetables, fruits, that is generated, that can be converted into biocompost. Okay, Parin, can you read out this paragraph better for me? Parin, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Read out.
In our one course, to increase the agriculture production during the last 5 decades or so, we almost totally neglected the use of the compost and completely switched over to chemical fertilizer. Earthworms can convert organic matter into compost faster than the normal composting process. This process is now being widely used. Indirectly, the civic authorities are benefited too as they have to dispose reduced quantity of waste.
So this is again a very good example that we can use the biocompost. We can not use the chemical fertilizers. We can use that biocompost, and recently it has been used for organic farming. Coming on to the last point, because it is maybe this is the last point, and then we are on the conclusion. The biopest. See, biopest. One important biopest is neem. Have you heard about that neem plant? Okay, the neem is one of the important biopest plant. Okay, Charu, can you read out this paragraph for me, beta? Charu, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Can you read out?
With the advent of green revolution, the entire country entered into a frenzy to use more and more chemical pesticides for higher yield. Soon the adverse impacts began to show. Food products were contaminated, soil, water bodies, and even groundwater was polluted with pesticides. Several types of pest controlling chemicals have been isolated from neem, and these are being used. Mixed cropping and growing different crops in consecutive years on the same land have also helped farming.
So this is again a good example for you. And last, these were the strategies, beta. So this chapter ends, and you can read out the conclusion as sustainable development is promoting that kind of development that minimizes environmental problems, and it has to meet the needs of present generation without compromising the needs of future generation. So is it clear to everyone? Is this chapter clear, beta? Any doubts in this chapter?
No.
The notes have been shared in the group. You can just copy those notes, and it has also been shared in the Google Classroom, beta. So do that as soon as possible. Is it clear?